At our Pastors and Leaders Conference, a friend of mine named Rocky Byers, which is a precious man, and his wife Susan are great pastors in Dallas. And they had a friend that had the beginning stages of leukemia. And this is him in the water, in the blue shirt. And he pastors, or he's an author. He's a great man. And he came to our leaders conference. And I think it's right over there, God met this man from Louisiana. I want you to listen to his story. It's 4.5 minutes long. He's going to tell his story. Let's listen.
Hello, my name is Carter. I'm a pastor down in South Louisiana. And back in August of last year, I was diagnosed with a bone marrow condition called MDS, myelodysplastica syndrome. It's the kind of a bone marrow cancer that grows into leukemia one day, and then you've got 1 to 5 years. He tells me, Carter, it's not so bad. You're only at a 2, but if you get to 4, then you need to go get a bone marrow transplant. Well, a few weeks later, I'm encouraged by a friend to go to the North Georgia Revival. I said, that's what I need. I've had 2 prophecies over me that said something's wrong with your body. You don't know what it is, but you're going to be healed when the fire comes. So I thought, yes, the North Georgia Revival, that's where I need to go. So I went, and I went to the pastors' conference back in October, and I got baptized in the pool. Well, I came back, and they took my blood again, as we do every month, and the doctor said, yeah, you're still at a 2, Carter. I was kind of shocked. I thought I'd be healed instantly. So he says, in the meantime, I want you to go over to Baton Rouge and meet the leukemia specialist, because one day you're going to need a bone marrow transplant. So I go over and meet this guy in December, the leukemia specialist. I'm expecting to have a casual conversation about what a bone marrow transplant looks like. I walk into his office, and his hair is on fire. He says, Carter, you're a 4. You're on your way to leukemia. You need to get a bone marrow transplant, and you need to get it like yesterday. Well, it was right before the Christmas holidays, so we waited through the holidays, and on January 15th, my wife and I are in Houston, Texas, at MD Anderson Hospital, the big and #1 cancer clinic in the South. They take my blood, they look at it, and they do a bone marrow biopsy, and they are so kind. They say, oh no, Carter, you're a 1. You're a 1. You don't even need to be here. You go home and just keep monitoring your blood. Well, that was good news, but it seems confusing. I'm wondering what the doctor in Baton Rouge saw. Well, thankfully, in a couple of weeks, hair on fire calls me back. He says, Carter, what did they say in Baton Rouge? In Houston. I said, they told me I'm a 1. He says, no, you've got the mutation for 4. He says, do you mind if I call them? I said, please do. So the Baton Rouge doctor with his hair on fire, he calls MD Anderson in Houston, and they say, well, we'll check again. They looked at my reports. They looked at my bone marrow biopsy, and they said, no, he is a 1. Hair on fire calls me back and says, I cannot explain this. But that genetic mutation that leads to leukemia is not in you anymore. I can't explain it. I said, it sounds like you're telling me God healed me. He grinned and he said, that's the only explanation. I am Carter Featherston, and I got healed in the fire of the baptismal waters of the North Georgia Revival.
Come on, somebody. Yeah! Where'd my band go? Where's my band, Mario? Was that not the most... Stand to your feet.